Imagine this nightmare for a second. You're a mom, excited to finally become a grandmother. Your 22-year-old daughter is 8 months pregnant, glowing, making baby shower plans. You've already sent out the invites. You're probably stashing little blue and pink decorations in your trunk. And then, you walk into her apartment one afternoon, expecting to see her folding baby clothes. And instead, you step into something so unreal it feels ripped straight out of a horror film. That was the cruel, twisted reality for the family of Lisa Dodd. Her life wasn't just taken. It was taken in a way that makes even hardened detectives look pale. Her body was discovered inside her home, and her head, tossed in a dumpster like someone was cleaning out last night's leftovers. And the man behind it? Not a stranger, not some random monster in the shadows. It was her on-again, off-again boyfriend. Before we get into the dark part, let me remind you who was lost. Lize wasn't some headline, some statistic. She was 22, funny, sweet, the kind of girl who'd text you memes at 2 a.m. just because. Her family said she lit up every room she walked into. And the most important part? She was weeks away from being a mom. She was nesting, planning her July baby shower, already glowing with excitement. But you know what else she had? A relationship that was like gasoline and fire. Enter Deundria S. Holloway. Now, Holloway, where do we even start? He was also 22, but if Lisa was ready to step into adulthood, Holloway was still stuck in some high school bad boy phase, except without the charm. Their relationship was rocky, that's the polite word. The honest word? Toxic. He was the type who couldn't stand not having control. He'd come in and out of her life, a walking storm cloud. And if you think a man like that is going to throw a baby shower or paint a nursery, forget it. Lisa, though, was done. She was moving on, focusing on her baby. And guys like Holloway, they don't take rejection like grown men. They take it like ticking time bombs. June 9th, 2022. Lisa's mom hadn't heard from her daughter, so she stopped by her apartment on Bolivar Street in Alton, Illinois. And what she found inside? Well, let me just say it wasn't her daughter folding baby blankets, because hours earlier, Holloway had shown up. We don't know the exact conversation, but we know how it ended, with rage. He attacked her. Hard. There were signs she fought back, because of course, she would. But Holloway wasn't there to talk. He wasn't there to make peace. He was there to destroy. And then came the part that still makes headlines. He didn't stop at ending her life. He went further. He took her head. Yes, literally. He separated her from it. Then, in a move that tells you everything about how little he valued her or their unborn child, he walked outside and dumped it into a trash bin like it was nothing. This wasn't just violence. This was rage with an exclamation mark. And here's the part that breaks your heart all over again. It was Lisa's mom who opened that apartment door. She walked in, probably ready to ask her daughter if she wanted to go shopping for baby things. Instead, she walked straight into a crime scene. Let me put it bluntly. No mother should ever have to see that. The scream, the shock, the disbelief. It was a moment burned into her forever. She called police, and within minutes, the entire neighborhood was crawling with flashing lights, detectives and hushed whispers. And then officers found the dumpster. Inside was her daughter's head. Even hardened cops admitted this was one of the most savage scenes they'd ever worked. When the dust settled, police didn't have to do much guesswork about who might have done this. Lise wasn't targeted by a stranger. This wasn't random. This was personal. And Holloway? He wasn't exactly covering his tracks. Within 24 hours, they had him in custody. And no, he didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He didn't even act shaken. He resisted arrest, fought officers, and behaved like the world owed him something. Zero remorse. Zero humanity. Prosecutors weren't about to play games with this one. They threw the book at him. First-degree murder of Liese. Intentional homicide of her unborn baby. Dismembering a human body. Concealing a homicidal death. Every charge told the same story. This wasn't some moment of passion. This was deliberate, vicious, and unforgettable. But of course, Holloway wasn't finished wasting everyone's time. He was first declared unfit to stand trial. Doctors said he didn't fully understand the proceedings, which, let's be real, was probably the closest thing he'd ever get to an out. But prosecutors weren't having it. They knew he understood what he'd done. You don't go through the effort of taking someone's head off and hiding it if you don't know what you're doing. So they pushed for reevaluations. And finally, he was declared fit. Still, the trial dragged on. For nearly 3 years, Lisa's family had to keep hearing the same words: decapitation, dumpster, unborn child. Each court date ripped open the wound again. Finally, January 2025, Holloway stood in front of a judge. He pleaded guilty. The sentence? 60 years in prison. 30 years for ending Lisa's life. 30 years for taking the life of her unborn child. Do the math. He's not walking out of prison alive. Not in this lifetime. And here's where the sarcasm comes in. Holloway thought he was making some grand statement. All he really did was prove he's the kind of man who ends up rotting in a cell, while the world forgets his name. Meanwhile, Lisa's family? They don't get their daughter back. They don't get the baby shower they planned. They buried their child instead of celebrating her motherhood. That's the legacy Holloway left. Not power, not control, just destruction and shame.